What up? It's the Real Ones post-Christmas edition. I'm Howard Beck, senior writer for TheRinger.com. Logan is off today, taking a little family time, but with me from South Florida, he is the heat miser to my cold miser, Raja Bell. What's up, Raja?
What up, Howard? Fresh off of Santa duties. Yeah, it was a wild one yesterday, man. We had, let's see, did we have 5 kids? We had 6 kids, 2 under the age of 9, 4 teenagers. So we were, it was a good day, busy.
That sounds slightly chaotic. Happy chaos, but definitely a little chaotic.
Yeah, I mean it's a good chaos, right? Like I wouldn't change it. We're going to be losing one of them to school soon. It just makes it hard to really sit and like focus on basketball, right? Like we talked about that pre-pod. Like, you want to sit, you're there for 5 minutes, and then inevitably you're something comes up.
Listen, we all love the game. We all love the NBA, but 13 straight hours of basketball from noon Eastern until basically 1:30 Eastern, and a whole lot of Shaq and Chuck and Ernie and Kenny in between, which thank God for that. I welcome them back. But dude, that was a lot of NBA for what I'm not sure this is actually good. I know everybody loves the game.
It's a lot of basketball.
I'm starting to like reconsider the sanity of this all. Could we just do 3 games? Like 4 even? 5?
5 is crazy. 5 is so crazy, Howard. And you know, to the point, like if you give me some comedic relief in there, I'm good. But because I couldn't really catch it all live, I had to cram it all into like, before I went to sleep last night, and then like I fell asleep 5 times before I said I quit. I can't watch it. I'll just do it in the morning. I don't even get that. So I'm just watching straight hoops from 7 until we get on. It's crazy.
I checked out on the last game at a certain point because I was just getting too tired. And then as I was like wrapping everything up and trying to get things clean to put away and everything, I went, oh, wait, this game's tight. I should watch. So then I did watch down the stretch of the fourth and the overtime, and Jokic was awesome per usual. Raja, how long?
What time did that finish? I'm sorry, before you get into it, what time did that actually finish?
Like 1:30. And I didn't stay up for like the late night of Chuck and Shaq and the gang. Like I was like, okay, I saw the end. We're good. I need some sleep at this point. Raja, I don't remember if we discussed this a year ago, but do you recall your NBA Christmases? I found 2. Yeah. They were both in LA against the Lakers. And they were both losses.
Yeah, one with Philly and one with Phoenix, probably.
Philly in 01, Phoenix in 07.
Yep.
First game, you scored 2 points in 12 minutes for Phillies. Yeah. Not the dude. That was an 88-82 game though. So I mean, 2 points is actually
2 points is not crazy.
Sizable percentage.
I remember that one because it was my dad was working for the University of Miami at the time in the athletic department, and the Hurricanes came out, I believe, that year to play in the Rose Bowl for, I think it was a national championship. So like my whole family, my mom, my dad, my sister, her boyfriend who played for the Hurricanes were out in LA. They actually were able to come on the team plane with us.
Nice.
Philly took a bunch of people out to that. So I remember that one for that reason, clearly not for my contributions to the game. And then I remember the next one because I think we had my first son, and he did Christmas, like he was too young to really realize it, but Christmas was done in the hotel in the Beverly Wilshire.
Nice. Yeah. So not all bad being on the road. I always think that's a mixed thing. I know players and coaches are very dutiful, sticking to the talking points for the league when they say, oh, it's an honor to play on Christmas. And I grew up watching these games and everything. And I think there's probably a little bit of truth to that. But I think given a choice and given a little truth serum, everybody would just prefer to be at home rather than in the arena that day, right?
Yeah,
especially on the road.
On the road, and especially when you have kids in their good, Santa believing this is a great experience, little timeline like that. It's tough to be away for those times.
I should note, since I pointed out your modest stats in 01, your December, your Christmas 2007 game, Suns at Lakers, which Lakers won 122-115. Look at that. The score is markedly up by that point in NBA history. You started that game, played 33 minutes, 15 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 4 of 6 from the arc, 5 of 11 overall. And I should just note that Kobe Bryant had 38 that day. But he played.
You should note that? You should, or you feel it? How many free throws? That's all I care about. How many free throws?
I actually did not jot that part down. Sorry. 38 points in 41 minutes, which is more than you played. So somebody else gave up all those points, clearly. Those are the non-Raja minutes. All of it. I'm sure of it.
He was tough. I remember that. I think I remember that. He went, there's a viral clip of me, top of the key, I'm pretty sure. Brian Skinner is coming up as my defensive help in a pick and roll. And I'm in a position where you would normally force someone to a pick and roll. And at the last minute, I switched my stance because we were supposed to be in a blue coverage, which was like sending him away from it. And Skin stayed on the other side, and Kobe goes right down the middle and like pipes it over Boris Diaw. And it's viral. I saw it the other day, and I'm pretty sure that was a Christmas Day game.
Wow. All right. On the plus side again, in the Raja Bell column, Kobe had 8 turnovers that day, which again, I'm just going to say all 8 of those were yours.
I appreciate you, Howard.
5 of those were you just taking charges, probably. But
I don't think I ever. Yeah, I was never going to get 5 charges on him, but I appreciate your efforts.
I want to get to yesterday's Christmas games, but before I do that, real quick, how long can the Christmas lights stay up in the Raja Bell household? How long until the tree goes out? Because I'm holding on to this tree as long as I can, Raj. I like the smell. I like the look. I like the way it makes the living room feel. And it just feels depressing once we take it out. Plus the cats miss it because they love hanging under it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that bad boy will stay up until my wife tells me to take it down, which could be a month. I mean, I don't know. It could be forever. We had a Christmas tree once in Dallas as young adults that like lost all its needles and everything. It just stayed in the corner, man, until it became a fire hazard. So they can stay up in this house for a while, bro.
I'm with you. I endorse it. There's a certain point where it feels like everything's getting a little stale, but I'm hanging onto the tree until just every last needle is falling off if I can do it. All right, we will get to the full slate of yesterday's Christmas games, but we will take a short break first. We'll be right back.
The Ringer NBA show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live and your way so you could build the bet that fits your play. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNBA to get started. 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
All right, so as we said, Raja, 13 hours of NBA basketball yesterday. Mostly great games. Only really one dud in the batch, and that was the Rockets routing the Lakers. But Knicks comeback thriller at the Garden against the Cavs. The Cavs actually looked pretty damn good until that fourth quarter collapse. Spurs beat the Thunder again, this time in Oklahoma. Warriors. The Warriors got peace on earth for a day with Steve Kerr and Draymond. They beat the Mavericks. Mavericks lost Anthony Davis again. And the day closed with, as we mentioned, another Jokic masterpiece with the Nuggets beating the Timberwolves in overtime. There are a lot of places we could start here, Raja, and I'm gonna go negative first. I know it's like this season of joy and hope and all this stuff, but the Lakers just seemed like they were meltdown. So we'll start there. We'll get to positive stuff. I mean, frankly, the flip side of this is that it's great day for the Rockets. So, but the Lakers, Raja, JJ Redick seemed just beside himself. I think he's already, there are JJ Redick crash out headlines flying all over the place this morning. 3 straight losses now for the Lakers by an average of 21 points, 6 losses in their last 10 games. Austin Reeves aggravated that calf yesterday, so he was out for the second half. He's getting an MRI today. We don't have that result yet. The Lakers are now down to 25th in defensive efficiency. This is something Redick was harping on earlier in the week. Like the warning flags were all over the place, and it's just getting worse. They're 28th in defense over their last 10 games. Their offense is just 14th in that span. They're still 19-10, 4th in the West. But they have a negative point differential now for the season. It's minus 0.4 per 100, according to Cleaning the Glass. Based on that point differential, according to Cleaning the Glass, the Lakers should be a 40-win team and would be their expected win total right now would be 14-15 as a record instead of 19-10. And LeBron was minus 33 in his 32 minutes yesterday. That is the worst of his career as a Laker and third worst of his career, period. I don't even know where to begin there other than the quotes are even more alarming, I think, than all the statistical trends I just pointed out. Jake LaRavia, we're quoting Jake LaRavia partially because LeBron and Austin Reeves left without speaking to the media. Luka spoke, but it was the role players who basically had to step up. Jake LaRavia, when he was asked why isn't the team together on both ends of the floor, he says, "I couldn't tell you. I think there might be a disconnect right now." That doesn't sound great. Redick says that Saturday's practice is going to be uncomfortable. And then he says, "I'm not doing another 53 games like this." That seemed bad. And when asked about all this, Redick says of his team, "We don't care enough right now." And that's the part that bothers you a lot. We don't care enough to do the things that are necessary. We don't care enough to be a professional. Which alarm bell would you like to address first, Raja? There's a lot.
Obviously, the Jake LaRavia of it all. Hey, dude. hey, man. The PR person needs to get in there. Hey, Jake, scale that back, bro. What are you doing? There's a lot. There's a lot of meat on that bone, Howard. JJ Redick with the professionalism, I think, is alarming. And let's just try to figure out who is he talking to, right? Because you're not talking to numbers. Well, first of all, you ain't talking to nobody who didn't touch the floor, right? And the Jake LaRavias of the world and those dudes typically don't have the luxury of not coming out and being professionals about their business, right? They're hanging on by that. That's why they're getting on the floor. So you're talking about, and the Marcus Smarts and the Jared Vanderbilts, like, they were out there competing.
Yeah.
So who are you talking to? And therein lies like the problem, right? Like, you are taking shots at the very top of your roster. And that's a problem. That is very concerning. And, this wasn't the question you asked me, but just to start that game, right? Because I told you, like, some of them I had to sit and watch this morning, right? So just to start that game, I started it. I watched the first 5 minutes. I had to take it back. I didn't even have the time to do this because, like, I'm trying to cram it all in, but I'm like, that looks so fucking crazy that I'm rewinding that. Like, 3 turnovers from Luka off the rip. You're crying about every foul. LeBron's disengaged. Houston on the first 3 shots got 3 offensive rebounds. Like, it screamed, we don't give a shit and we don't want to be here. Now, they got into a groove and, once they started moving offensively and competing a little bit, but that's the way we're starting games. And so when you ask me what's most concerning, it is definitely their coach saying that we have a lack of professionalism, and whatever else he said in that clip. He said a lot.
He did. And if you watched it and listened to him, like, the tone, like, JJ obviously is a very intense dude in good times and bad, but, like, the tension in his voice was striking. He seems just like he's at his wit's end. And yeah, great point, Raja, about, like, who's on the court versus who's not, because who are you really talking about here then? Like, we could point the finger at, like, DeAndre Ayton. That would be an easy target. He has a history of not always being consistently professional. But is he talking about Rui Hachimura? Is he talking about, like who else played? Like, there's only like 7 guys who played, or 8 guys who played heavy minutes. And as you point out, like, Jared Vanderbilt played his ass off yesterday. He had a really good game. He had been out of the rotation, and Redick recently brought him back because they really need his defense and his hustle and his kind of just interchangeability. He can, guard across multiple positions. But it does kind of sound like you can't get away from this. Like, this may be a Luka and LeBron thing. Kendrick Perkins was on ESPN this morning basically saying, as somebody who played with and against LeBron, the body language is bad. He seems, I can't remember if he used the word that you did, disengaged, but it was along those lines, and kind of suggesting that maybe things have just run their course between LeBron and the Lakers. And look, this goes all the way back to when they got Luka last season. It goes back to Rich Paul's statement that he issued when LeBron opted in, but there was no extension offer, and the whole 2 timelines of, like, hey, I know you're building around Luka, but don't forget about LeBron. He's on a 1-year expiring deal. Like Perk was like suggesting that LeBron shouldn't finish this season with the Lakers, which I think is a little soon to get there, but it also very complicated to disengage, to use that word in another context, to like disengage LeBron from the Lakers. Like, I don't even know how you get there. Right. But I think it's too soon for that. I do think that if you're talking about why they are so lackluster defensively, this is a team, a league that's just gotten very young and fast and athletic, and a team in the Lakers that is none of those things. They have some youth, but not the kind of horses to stay with the Rockets or the Thunder or the Spurs.
Howard, it was the most striking. That's a fantastic point, and it was one of the most striking things watching them yesterday or watching them today, and the difference between the way their players can navigate around a court, the speed with which they do it, the athleticism that they lack compared to the rest of the good teams is startling. It really is. So like JJ can be right, and he still might not be able to get that level of consistent output from guys who just can't physically do that. Because you're right. These guys are flying, man. You watch that San Antonio, OKC. You watch, the Knicks and Cleveland. Like, people were flying around the court. And the Lakers just don't look like that. They just don't look like that. Howard, I want to say this again because, the Luka fan, I get it, man. He's like, it's probably like the Kobe fan or the MJ fan, LeBron fan. Anything you say about them is going to be taken and just blown. But when your best player is consistently, after almost every single play that isn't in a bucket, and a lot of them that are buckets, when he is always pouting and complaining and bitching, it's exhausting for your teammates, dude. It is a very, very poor cultural thing to have your best player on those vibes all the time. And if LeBron is in a cold war of sorts in his passive aggressive, the way he handles his when he's not all the way bought into what's going on with an organization. So he's not counterbalancing with his normal culture. And I'm not saying this for a fact, but yesterday he wasn't. That's when you heap that all on top of a roster that probably doesn't have the athletes and the legs, and that's just a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Luka's got this commercial campaign now. I'm sure you've seen it. The commercials were on like 50 times yesterday. It's this whole like bad Luka something, whatever, bad Luka, good shoes. I don't know, something, but it's like Luka poking fun at himself. Am I a bad guy? Am I this? Am I that? And it's fun. It's funny. And I'm glad that he has enough self-awareness to do that. And he has enough self-awareness to have addressed at times his issues with refs and being such a just complete, just wall-to-wall complainer, right? He is an unrepentant complainer and ref chewer. And he's talked about it. He's talked about trying to rein it in. And at times he has, but he has not changed. He has not changed. And so that plus the fact that he is generally a net negative on defense, right? Like we talked, it's not just that this team is old. Like Luka's obviously not old. Austin Reeves is not old, but they're either old and or not athletic enough or not defensively committed enough. Like there's just a combination of factors here that make them a bad defensive team. They haven't had Reeves, LeBron, and Luka, their three best players, not necessarily in that order, on the court a lot this season. And I think Laker fans would probably point to that and say, well, hey, come on, when we get healthy, when we get these guys together consistently. But in the 140 minutes those guys have played, Luka, LeBron, and Reeves together, they're a -9 net rating. So -9 per 100 when those guys are there. And with average offense and just absolutely horrible defense with those three together on the court. So they just have functional problems, which leads me to this. We are about to close out the calendar year. We're 6-7 weeks away from the trade deadline. I don't know if there's a move to be made here, Raja, but it does feel like this is a team that cannot afford to just stand pat and hope for the best. Is there anything, and I don't mean a specific trade. We don't have to start playing trade machine jockey right now. But what do you think? Is there a move to be made that actually can stabilize this team right now? Is there any particular thing you look at and say, like, this is what they need? And maybe not going to get them into title contention necessarily, but they want to maintain being at least a top 4 team with a puncher's chance in the spring. So what do they need?
They need more than you can, I guess, acquire right now. Because what they need is they need young, fresh, two-way guys. They need guys that can get up and down, defend. They need a little bit of more versatility defensively. And the other thing that stuck out to me about the league, as I watched, yesterday and this morning, is just how many guys on every roster, and I've said this before, can just really create given the opportunity to. Maybe not the same way Luka can, or the same way that like Shea can on OKC, but like teams are littered with guys, long, rangy guys who can create a little bit and go get a bucket if you leave them in space. And so, the Lakers, I just think, need more dynamic wing depth. Like a month or so ago when we were talking to Logan and we were talking about the LeBron of it all. And my point was, if he was going to be relegated to being number 3 and having to figure out how to be number 3, I'm not saying what Kendrick Perkins said necessarily, but I was asking the question, like, there are better guys out there to do that specific job than LeBron, right? Because like LeBron is not those things. LeBron is a drink stirring, give me the ball, I move the pieces around the chessboard player. And he's taking up, a spot where you could add pieces like these rangier wing that want to defend and supplement by shooting threes, and that's what they need, Howard. But they need depth of it on the bench. They need a little bit of it in their starting lineup. Like between Luka and Austin Reeves, shout out to Austin Reeves, dog. My bad. He's a fucking bucket. Like he's a bucket, and he's just gotten better and better at being a bucket. They have 2 dudes like that. Now you got to find pieces that fit around that, that can defend around that, because they're both poor defenders, and that can, accentuate that offensively.
Yeah. And before people start saying like, oh, it's insane to say that you want Luka and Austin and jettison LeBron, the thing with NBA team building in this time frame, and it's been true for a long time, but especially right now in the second apron era, when you have one guy making 50-something million, it's not just that whether LeBron fits well with Austin Reeves and Luka. It's what else would that 50 million get you if it weren't him? If you could swap that out for 3 or 4 guys who were rangy two-way guys, get a little bit more center depth, whatever it may be, those are pieces that might fit really well around Luka and Austin Reeves, and accentuate their positives. If these guys are shooters, helping keep the floor space. If they're defenders, taking the pressure off Luka and Austin Reeves to do the things that they can't or won't do defensively. Like there's a way to build around 2 other, and like Austin Reeves is not a high price star yet, but he will be next summer, whether he's in LA or somewhere. And besides that, you are now building, you are building on Luka's timeline now. LeBron's 41, today, tomorrow, sometime soon here. And you are in a very uncomfortable in-between phase here. And neither side really wanted to broach it in the summer, but it's looming. And the further into the season that we get, and especially if the Lakers are struggling as they are right now, like this is not going away. The LeBron of it all, as we talked about earlier, that is just hovering over them. And
What the scary part for them, Howard, sorry to cut you off, is historically speaking, from what I know about LeBron and Cam, it's not getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, either on the court or relationship wise. Like there's no magic pill to change what's going on. There's no concessions that the Lakers can make, to LeBron and Cam at this point that would make any sense to the Lakers moving forward. So it's not going away, and it's not getting better.
No. Any quick thoughts on the Rockets before we move on to the next one here?
Yeah, I mean, a physical, if they got their paws on you, like if they can get their paws on you, they could be a problem for some people. But they got to be able to get their paws on you, if that makes sense, right? They're physical, they beat you up. KD sticks out to me 2 things. KD and Reed Shepherd. Reed Shepherd's coming along real nice. Like he's coming along nicely. It's pretty cool to watch. Like I still would say that in a probably late year playoff scenario, I would like to not stunt Reed's development, but have a piece that I knew could handle those minutes. Like, it's that I'm going to stick to that, but he's developing nicely. KD is awesome to me because KD will come out, miss 4 like he did last night. Like, just miss them. Shot, but a lot of dudes have missed 4 and you're like, oh shit, it's going to be one of those nights. KD's just really calibrating. You ever seen anybody at like a gun range with a scope and they're going to miss the first 4, but they're just like tweaking, they're just tweaking the scope and just moving it around until they get it locked in. And then they're just going to be picking off the targets like that. He's still really one of the best in the world at that.
Yeah, incredible. There are days where, and more often than not, he still looks like he's 30 instead of 37. Like KD's still super effective. Are we to the point yet where we actually are like, you know what? Maybe they don't need a Fred VanVleet replacement. Maybe between KD, Şengün, Amen Thompson, Reed Shepherd's, making strides. Like, is it okay? Like, are the Rockets in the mix here in the top of the West, even without that? And they've had their struggles recently too, but they look like they're stabilizing.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're in a world where they've figured out how that's going to work, right? How they're going to play in the absence of that. Do I think they could be the highest version, the best version of themselves? Can they reach their highest ceiling without that orchestrator? I believe that answer to be no, though, Howard. But even as currently constituted, I'm telling you, if they get their paws on you and you allow them to, if you allow them to operate the way they want to operate without that PG, they'll get you and they'll drag you down into a street fight. And I would not want to do that with them. Amen Thompson's in a league of freaks. He is a freak. Like what he can do physically is incredible. KD, Şengün. So yes, they could compete in the top of the Western Conference as they are right now. I do still think their highest ceiling would be met with the real point guard.
Yeah, and I still think that they are in that next tier below the Thunder, the Nuggets, and the Spurs, who we will get to. And I'll just note, like, I like the way that the Rockets played yesterday. Maybe some of that was the Lakers helping them out, but they have lost 4 of their last 6. And there's some rough ones in there. You're losing to the Kings and Clippers back to back. Lost to the Nuggets and Pelicans both in overtime. The Kings game was an overtime game too. So like they've been in a lot of tight ones that they haven't been able to pull out, which is surprising considering they have one of the greatest clutch players of all time in KD. But the Rockets are still. I'm not sure we've figured them out. I'm not sure they've figured themselves out quite yet.
You know what's interesting, Howard? Those tight ball games, those overtime ball games, those small margin games are ones where, and mind you, I didn't watch every single one of those games, so this might not have been the case. But in a lot of instances, those really small margin games become about, execution, become about details, become about possession to possession, and that's where someone who naturally is a leader of your offense and can run the show could get you 2, 3, 4 points just over the course of a game in terms of being organized, not turning the ball over. We got a better possession than we ordinarily would without you.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. The holidays move fast, and Amazon Prime keeps you in control with fast and free delivery. We've all been there. Family plans are fluid. Somebody's not coming. Suddenly they are coming, and you're excited about it. You want to get them a gift, so you hop on Amazon Prime, line that up with their interests, and it's easy to do because Amazon has everything. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute, and it just can't wait. Need that last minute gift or holiday essential? It's on Prime. Head to Amazon.com/Prime to shop now.
I alluded to this, so I'm gonna jump right to it because I thought one of the most fascinating games of the day, and we knew this coming in because it's been simmering over the last couple of weeks. Spurs at Thunder was guaranteed to deliver. It did, especially if you're a Spurs fan or anybody who has been waiting for the Thunder to stumble or hoping that somebody could shatter that veneer of invincibility. The Spurs really take it to them 117-102. I've been thinking about this. I ask this respectfully. Are the Thunder the biggest threat to the Spurs winning the West?
No, because the Thunder can't beat them. So it wouldn't be the Thunder. It's going to be somebody else.
I just want everybody, as they're trying to still come out of their Christmas haze, to have to think about what I just asked for a few minutes to realize what that was. I mean, we've been wondering this whole time, like, could anybody possibly puncture the Thunder's armor? And now the Spurs have beaten them 3 times in 3 cities in 13 days. They beat them, of course, in Vegas in the Cup semifinal. They beat them in San Antonio a couple nights before Christmas, and then they beat them on Christmas in Oklahoma. So I don't know if that's ever happened in NBA history. 3 wins in 3 different cities against the same team. But this is the season of hope and joy, and the Spurs have just given the rest of the league some hope and joy by showing that the Thunder can be beaten. It might require you having a 7'4" alien along with like 3 absolute freaking stud guards who can get their shots off anywhere, anytime, and get to the rack repeatedly. I don't know if anybody can replicate that formula, but what have you seen from the Spurs over the course of 3 games against the Thunder? That, like, is this just unique to them? Are they exposing anything in terms of the way to beat the Thunder? Or is this just like, yeah, we have Wemby, Castle, Fox, and Harper, and y'all don't?
I mean, I think they do some good things. I talked about how often they keep Oklahoma City's bigs engaged in some sort of action, lifting them out, off ball, flaring with their guy, just keeping them occupied. I think they do that pretty well, but the majority of what they do is what you just said, or the majority of their advantage is in that personnel and the pieces that they have. What I found interesting yesterday, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox was just chewing them up in that drop coverage, just like, whether he was in transition with the ball, just carving up that, or he was in pick and roll, getting to that snake elbow jumper was crazy. Stephon Castle, he gets wherever he wants to go. Dylan Harper was great, but there were a few plays. It was Chet hit Wemby with a head fake, and Wemby kind of like fouled him, like gave him a good foul. And then he missed the free throw, and Wemby like flexed a little bit. Then Wemby was running down in transition, and one of the OKC reserve bigs tried to take the charge. Wemby just like drove him into the floor. And then he had another play where he, as Wemby was trying to get back in transition defense, somebody from OKC was just in his way, and Wemby like chicken winged him and kind of like threw him out of the way. And I was like, oh shit, there's a little attitude about that shit. Like this isn't. He had something with that. Dylan Harper on the baseline dunk, two-handed baseline dunk.
On the pass from Wemby, right.
On the pass from Wemby. And then what's the other cat's name, man? Johnson? Was it, what's his name?
Keldon Johnson. Yeah.
That two-handed putback, that's what stuck out to me. Those plays didn't win the game. But the overall kind of attitude that they were playing OKC with is what stood out to me. Like, they don't think you can beat them. That's the way they feel about that. Like, they're there, OKC be damned. They don't think OKC can beat them. And quite frankly, on the flip side of that, I saw a lot of OKC doubt as it relates to beating San Antonio.
Yeah. There should be. I mean, like, after 3 straight to this team, they should have some doubt. Wemby's overall, and it almost feels like even more pronounced now over the last couple weeks since he came back from injury than even at the start of this season. But Wemby is playing with a different edge now. Like, it is unmistakable, and it's not over the top, right? Like, he's not out there just like sneering and yapping and everything else constantly. But there's the physical aggression which you alluded to, and there is some, like, almost sneering, right? As sneering as a very polite young Frenchman could be. Like, there is definitely an edge there, and even occasionally, like he got knocked down once, no foul called, but it was kind of like, I don't know if he was complaining or just kind of more of like, you can't stop me anyway, kind of a snapback. Like, he's carrying himself with an edge, and they've already got a bunch of guys who, just the personality of their games are super aggressive anyway. All 3 of those guards, like those Fox, Castle, and Harper, not to mention Vassell. Like, these guys, any team would kill to have any 2 of those. And in a league where, again, it's gotten younger and faster, and you need to be able to drive it. You need to be able to shoot it from 3. You need to be able to hit step backs. They've got a bunch of guys who can seemingly just do all of it. And Dylan Harper for a guy who was a high pick, who sometimes those guys come in expecting, I've got to be featured on day one, but he's coming into a very established team. He's just playing his role. It never looks like he forces it. Shout out to his dad, Ron Harper, who I covered back in the day. But like, obviously, like whether it's Ron, whether it's coaches throughout his life, like he gets it. Like I want to crib from Larry Brown, your old coach, about playing the right way, but like Dylan Harper seems to understand how to blend his talents in. And like it's, or maybe it's just what Wemby said, a couple weeks back about, the culture of Spurs basketball. Like this is, something that has been threaded through the DNA of this franchise going back to Timmy, Manu, and Tony, right? They play together. They play well. The pass that Wemby made to Dylan Harper for that two-handed reverse dunk was fantastic. Like it looked like he was going up to shoot, and it was just like sees him coming across the baseline, boom. Yep. Phenomenal play.
Yeah, it was a great play. I think we talk about like young rookies coming in and what they're asked to do on the team they come into. A lot of times, will determine how they actually look that first year, right? And what they're trying to do. And I think organically for a kid who has been raised the right way in the basketball space, knowing that there are other guys, being in practice every day and realizing that, hey, Stephon Castle is a bad mofo and De'Aaron Fox is a bad dude. And Wemby, well, then it becomes that much more organic for you to just say, hey, I'll just fit in here. I'll do what I do, but like I don't have to do it all. So let me just let me just figure out how this works and how my skill set translates, to this team and helps us win games. The cool thing about them watching them yesterday is they'll spread you out. And when Wemby's not on the floor, those dudes are at you. I mean, they are putting pressure on your rim. They are getting where they want to go. When Wemby comes in, they run, they'll still run pick and roll and stuff, but they give him that ball right at the free throw line, right? And it's very, very difficult, and it really exposes your defense and its natural inclination on a player like Wemby to want to go help. Because when he's at the free throw line and he faces up, he can see the four defenders that want to help. And those dudes are great at playing off of that. They're gone. You lose sight of one of them and they're not there anymore when you turn around. And Wemby's just that good of a facilitator, like Jokic and those great bigs. But it's cool to watch because they flow in and out of different styles of play. And as a defense, that's difficult. Like I'm trying to wrap my head around, we're spaced out, people are moving, but the ball's penetrating, and how I have to play to either guard the ball or help the ball. And then all of a sudden, you're just going to throw it to the free throw line. Everyone's standing still, and Wemby's going to cook my big. Well, I'm going to help. Oh, shit, I look back, my man's gone. And so they got a lot of stuff going for them. They're a tough matchup. Obviously a tough one for OKC. I will say this, though, Howard. OKC got a lot of good shots. They got a lot of wide open threes that they just did not make.
Yeah.
And, if they have a 7-4 alien protecting the rim and it's going to be hard for SGA and others to get in and around the rim and finish, and they're giving you those threes, that's the game. We're either going to win it because we make them or we're going to lose it because we don't make enough.
The Thunder were 24-1 before they met the Spurs the first time a couple weeks back. They're now, they've got 4 losses in their last 6 games, 3 of them to San Antonio. Like this is the first definable losing trend for the Thunder in a very long time. They've gone from a 74 win pace down to a mere 69 win pace. So I think they're going to be okay, but still notable. The Spurs don't turn the ball over. That's the other thing here, right? Like the Thunder feast on turnovers and points off turnovers. The Spurs in the 3 wins, they had 19 the first time, which is high for them, but then just 9 in the second game, 13 in the third game. So they're averaging a little under 14 turnovers a game in their 3 wins against the Thunder. Thunder opponents average 18 turnovers a game, and that is the highest in the NBA. So the Thunder turn their opponents over a ton. The Spurs don't fall into that. We are way too early for this, but Tim Bontemps at ESPN did do his first straw poll, MVP straw poll. My ballot, for full disclosure, which I sent him a couple weeks ago before that ran, was Shea, Jokic, Luka, Brunson, Cade Cunningham. There were a lot of other possibilities, but that was how it's a snapshot, right? You're just trying to give a quick take. If he asked again now and it's only been 2 weeks, like Wemby's in there. I'm sorry. Like, and Wemby still there's going to be a games played concern at some point. He's missed 12 games. You can only miss 17. And then there's some minutes requirements under all these crazy new rules. But if he asked me again right now, I think I'd have Wemby third at worst after Shea and Jokic. And it's going to be fluid for the rest of the season. So let's not put too much stock in any of this. It's just worth noting because I think the only reason Wemby wasn't stronger in that straw poll on my ballot or anybody else's is that he had missed those 12 games. But oh my God, in the 18 games he's played, he's averaging 23 points, 12 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 3 blocks. He is a plus 15 per 100 possessions. Just wrecking people.
Yeah, that's gross. He's just so freaky. I was sitting there with my dad. He was like, after every second thing Wemby did, every other thing Wemby did, my dad had a comment. My dad doesn't watch that much NBA anymore. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, that's real. I mean, that's not that's a real thing that's happening.
That's not AI.
It's a real human, man. Yeah. I just want to go to the OKC of it real quick, Howard?
Yeah.
In a weird way, I like this for them. I don't necessarily there is a thing about feeling like you're invincible as a team. And so for that, I don't love this, but finding some obstacles and some grit and having to overcome some stuff for a team that just won a championship and got off to such a hot start, I think is a good thing. And I think it's a good thing to happen at a point in the season where there's enough room on the back end to right the ship and figure out, hey, that no one's just going to give us this shit again. Because we talk about those teams that just run the table that year after a championship and how, they do that. Then they take their foot off that gas organically, and then boom, you've taken your eyes off the prize, and you can't, find a way to win it back to back. I like this for them if handled the right way.
I agree, and I've heard a lot of great coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, say this over the years, especially when you are coaching a team that is just absolutely dominant. They'll get a little high on themselves. Like the Thunder are an epitome of professionalism. Despite their youth, they are all about business, and I would never question that at all. But everybody can get a little high on themselves and start to think like, we've already got it figured out. There's nothing new to learn here. But they are a really young team. There is more to learn. Teams are going to find different ways to challenge you and throw you off your game. And what I've heard coaches say in these situations is it's a good thing to have. The losses are good because I have their attention again now. They don't need to pay. They don't need to listen to the coach where they're just like mauling people. But when they start to lose, then it's like, okay, now we have something to work on. Now there's something to point out in the film room. And now everybody's like humbled just enough to realize we're not perfect basketball players. We don't know everything. This is a time to kind of try to tighten things up a little bit. So I agree with you. I think it'll probably ultimately be good for them. But I also do think like the cracks in the armor are good for the rest of the NBA. I think everybody was getting too caught up in, are they going to obliterate the wins record? Are they going to be the next dynasty? We do this, right? This is us in the media and fans too in this era. We're always trying to spin this forward a little too quick. It's a good time to pump the brakes just a bit. Yeah, they're still awesome. Agreed. So speaking of dynasties and the team they were still chasing, Golden State Warriors, a little bit of a strain at moments, but cruised to a home win there against the Mavericks. Not a fun homecoming for Klay Thompson. Not a fun day for Anthony Davis, who limps off the court again. How many times have we seen that? But I did want to get you on this, Raja, because Logan and I spoke at length earlier in the week when you were off about the Draymond, Steve Kerr flare-up. Draymond leaving the bench, going to the locker room, just removing himself entirely. And then when he comes back, Kerr decides not to play him. Before the Christmas Day game, or maybe it was on the off day in between, Steve took full responsibility himself. I don't know if that was him just deciding to be, as the coach, as the authority figure, fall on the sword and just take it on you, take the pressure off Draymond, or how much of that was earnest on Steve's part. But he basically said, like, this is on me. I didn't handle it well, but we've apologized to each other. We're good. Draymond played yesterday, up and down game for him too. But like, he's back on the court and they won. And the Warriors are now, they've won 3 in a row, all at home, 5-3 in their last 8, including wins against Cleveland, Phoenix, and Orlando. They seem okay. Logan seemed pretty alarmed by what happened the other night. I think some people thought it might be a breaking point for Kerr and Draymond after all this time. I kind of chalked it up to like, these guys have been through worse and they know each other well enough to get through this one as they've gotten through the others. But did anything strike you with that particular flare up? Because as Legler pointed out, I think on Bill's pod the other day, like he said, like, I've never seen that where a guy just like walks away, leaves the court. That part of it, I think, did strike people.
Yeah, that's what struck me, is just the optics of that, right? Like that. I mean, we've been in plenty of huddle where a coach and a player are into it, and they're heat of the moment type things. I mean, even crossing lines verbally where you'd be like, "Hey, you just disrespected him," one way or the other, coach to player or player to coach. I think we've all of us who've played have seen that. But having someone get up and just walk out was pretty wild to watch. But here's what I didn't know, given Draymond's history with Golden State, and then just in general with the league. Having been someone that dealt with impulse control and had to learn how to deal with that, sometimes one of the things that they arm you with is what Draymond said he chose to do. Now, it sounded like a cop-out, but if that's what them as an organization have armed him with through a third party in terms of coping mechanisms, whether that's counting backwards from 10 so it switches sides of your brain, or just removing yourself from a situation, I didn't know the answer to that. Yeah. So if in fact it was something that he's been trained to say, hey, listen, man, if you stay here for 2 more seconds, you will do irreparable damage. Just go over there. And everyone is okay with that, and he practices that, then it's not that big of a deal. But it did look crazy.
That's exactly how I looked at it, Raja. That was because what Draymond went through a couple of years ago with Nurkic and Gobert in those incidents, and just like severe lack of impulse control, right? Physically, not just emotionally or verbally.
Yep.
And that was when he had the indefinite suspension. He went, I don't think he just like quote unquote went to counseling. I think he'd been getting counseling, but clearly during that period of time, there was a lot more of that kind of self-reflection and trying to work on himself going on. And he has not had an incident like that since then. Like, he's had his texts, he's had his flare-ups here and there, whatever, but there's been nothing, thankfully, remotely like what happened during that very short span a couple Decembers ago. And so my thought was the other day, and this was, I'm not trying to give him too much benefit of the doubt, but it definitely occurred to me, given everything he has said, including to me in a story that I did that season, that it is about sometimes stepping away or doing whatever it takes to calm yourself. And though I don't think he has specifically said it about what happened the other day, but that was my impression too, was get yourself out of the situation before it boils over, before something truly regrettable happens. And if that's what it took, but in the moment, it looks like insubordination, or as some people saw it, as quitting on the team. And like, I get that, but clearly the Warriors understand, Steph understands, Steve Kerr understands, they're good. I think everybody could just move on. But I did want to get your perception of that before we lost that one, because the Warriors have other concerns, right? Like, they are, like I said, 1 of 5 of their last 8. They're about to head on the road again. I'm going to see them here in Brooklyn in a couple of nights on Monday, actually, against the suddenly surging Nets. I don't know I don't even know what to make of that. There's one of the true mysteries. I don't know what's gotten into the Nets. They're going to ruin their lottery position again. That's that should be their biggest concern. Do the Warriors have any chance, Raja, to break into that? I'm going to call it the Oklahoma, San Antonio, Denver tier. Like, I think that's no. Yeah. Because the next tier down is like the Houston, Minnesota tier. I'm going to put those two behind Oklahoma, San Antonio, Denver.
Yep.
And then the Warriors are somewhere in that, like, trying to be in that Houston, Minnesota tier, along with the Lakers, who may or may not be in that tier. I don't know. Like, is there, again, trade deadline coming up? Kuminga just kind of hanging out, waiting to put the movers on hold.
Yeah, if you were gonna tell me that there was a way, because another team that screams, I need athletes and stuff. If you were gonna tell me there was a way for them to get some of that around the trade deadline, TBD on the question you asked me. Right now, they're not in jeopardy of creeping into that elite category for me.
No, I don't think so either. And like, it's On the plus side, Al Horford came back and played really well yesterday, hit a bunch of threes. On the downside, Al Horford came back and is firmly in the rotation and is really old. And like whatever they can get out of him is great.
Yeah.
But you kind of want Al Horford for April and beyond, and not, optimistically, not necessarily to like, be your biggest second quarter scorer whenever it was with that flurry of threes against the Dallas Mavericks team that's far from whole. So they're far from out of the woods. To me, between now and the trade deadline, the Kuminga question is one of the most fascinating storylines to watch, just because if there's any way for the Warriors to get back closer to those top tier teams in the West, it is with whatever they get out of a Kuminga deal, assuming they can create one between now and the trade deadline. That is obviously their biggest concern, or their biggest goal.
They'd have to do some, and with the right work around the edges, Howard. I mean, so what Steph is able to do at this point in his career, it's still remarkable. I mean, it's still one of the coolest things to watch. But they need a makeover. Yeah.
Before we move on from this one, Cooper Flagg, the lone bright spot still, and will remain probably the lone bright spot for the Mavericks for some time. 27 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, just 1 turnover in that game in almost 36 minutes, 13 to 21 from the field. Cooper Flagg started the season, I think, kind of a little up and down. We had a whole, Con Knipple thing happening in the Rookie of the Year race, and VJ Edgecombe starting to pull away, like all these other things happening. And I think, not that anybody's going to forget about Cooper Flagg, but it seemed like his struggles as a 19-year-old in the league were pretty evident on a team that just didn't have a lot around him until Anthony Davis came back for all of a couple of weeks. What have you seen from Cooper Flagg in the way that he has carried himself the last few weeks as opposed to the first couple weeks of the season?
I made a mistake. Now, in fairness, I always thought Cooper was going to be a really good player. I just thought he might be a different kind of player. Always going to contribute at the highest level to winning, because he's a Swiss Army knife of abilities and has always won. So I did think there were going to be more limitations on what he was as an offensive bread-winning player in the NBA. And I argued that against you and Logan. And Logan was like, Logan, my bad, dog. If you're listening, you were right. Get everybody the fuck out of his way. Get him out. Give him the ball and let him go. Because he's learning, the life cycle. Like the old cartoons where they show the life cycle of the fruit fly, how quickly they mature and then they die and then they're born again and they're just flying through this life cycle. Is happening really, really fast. His learning curve is like that. He's really picking up his offensive NBA game in a quicker way than I thought he was going to be able to do it. And he's still going to have nights where it doesn't look great. And it's going to be trial and error for him. But in a world where I originally didn't think his highest end in the NBA was a give it to him and let him carry you type of offensive player with a great team around him, I thought he was going to be one of the all-star type of pieces, not necessarily I could have been wrong on that.
Yeah, no, I legitimately wondered when we were getting toward the draft and watching a little bit of the highlights, because, guys like us we're watching so much NBA, I cannot drill down on these guys during the season. So I'm relying on our buddy Jay Kyle Mann and other draft experts, and then I'm going to watch a little bit. And I did think, because I tend to be one who thinks everybody gets overhyped, and so I'm always a little bit of the contrarian just by nature, I thought, what if he's just Lamar Odom, which is not really a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
Super good player who you can plug and play and put with anybody. Great playmaker, great with the ball in his hands, could score a little, could do all these different things, defend multiple positions. But I think the trajectory is definitely more than Lamar Odom at this point. Wherever it is in between or whatever, the high end is very much still in play. But you can see the wheels turning and he's figuring things out as he goes. And not easy on a team that's kind of wonky in terms of its construction, and it doesn't really have a point guard, and they were putting too much on him to play make early on. He's been super impressive. And again, despite all the Mavericks are in tatters and they're not going to be relevant this season, But Cooper Flagg's growth over the course of the season is going to be one of the fun things to watch. All right, let's take one more quick break. When we come back, we will touch on the other games we haven't hit yet, and we will get to our real one of the week. All right, Raja, 2 games we haven't gotten to. We'll touch on them briefly. No disrespect to the Knicks, the Cavaliers, the Wolves, or the Nuggets. I just thought we had a lot more meat to discuss in the other ones. But the Knicks, they've won 11 of their last 14, including 2 victories over the Magic, 2 against the Raptors, 1 against the Heat. Obviously, the Cavs yesterday, they won the Cup against the Spurs. That was a big deal in the moment. So I ask you now, and I answered this question myself in our roundup at theringer.com of the Christmas Day games. Are the Knicks now the clear favorites in the East, in our quote-unquote wide open East? Is it not so wide open?
Clear is an interesting way to put that. If you hadn't said clear, I might say yes. As it stands, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Clear favorites in the East. I mean, I would take them against Detroit, I think. You know, like they beat them last year. Detroit's really, really good, but like I'd still probably give the Knicks mind control, if you will, in a series like that, and just experience control. They just Cavs had them on the ropes twice. They just couldn't close. But yeah, I'd say the clear probably favorites, but fractionally, Howard. I think that's going to be a dogfight at the top of that Eastern Conference. But the Knicks, if you had to put percentage chances on winning it, I'd probably put the Knicks in the lead.
Yeah. And it feels disrespectful in the moment just because the Pistons have the better record right now by a couple of games. But yeah, the Knicks have all of the experience and I think depth. And I trust them more. But the Pistons clearly had a chance against them last spring. I just think that the totality of what the Knicks have done, the opponents they've beaten, everybody who's listening knows I don't put a ton of stock in the NBA Cup. And look, the last 2 winners of the NBA Cup have been first round flameouts in the playoffs the next spring. Not suggesting that's going to happen to the Knicks, just noting that it's not an indicator necessarily of who's going to do best in the postseason. The Knicks may be the exception to that one. They look really strong. They've got their 3rd in offensive rating now for the season. They are 14th in defensive rating, so still a little bit of concern there, but they've got the 4th best net rating in the NBA so far. And they look like they can just take out anybody at any time. And they've got a lot to prove still too, of course, against, they're going to see the Spurs again. They're going to see the Thunder. But as far as the East goes, like the Cavs look a little better and Garland started to look like himself and Mobley came back. So like, let's wait and see. But the Cavs tend to fold in big moments and under the bright lights, including repeatedly at the Garden. Will the Celtics rush back Tatum because they're unexpectedly in the hunt? Are the Pistons still too young? Is there another move to make? Like I do feel like the Knicks at this moment may not last. At this moment, I think they are the clear favorites in the East. Moving over to the West, where the Nuggets are not the clear favorites, but just keep thumping folks and Nikola Jokic. My editor Matt Dollinger wrote the blurb about that game. And I think he put it well, like this is going to be like a sports writer crisis because we've run out of ways to describe just how stupid, incredible Jokic is. 18 points in the last 2 minutes and 53 seconds of overtime last night. 18 in less than 3 minutes, finished with 56 points. They are missing 3 starters now. Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, who just got hurt the other day. And the Wolves have been a thorn in their side at times, and it didn't even matter.
I was watching that game. It was the last game I watched before coming on the pod. So we were supposed to get on at 12. At about 11:59, I'm sitting on the couch with my oldest son, and we are in overtime now, Howard. And I'm looking at my phone, seeing the final box, and I'm looking at the game. I'm like, this has to be double overtime, right? Like, there's no way he's going to score. There's no way he's going to do all of that in these last couple of minutes. That's a double overtime game, Dia. I literally said it. I was a double overtime game, Dia. And now I'm worried about whether I'm going to make the pot or not. And there he goes. And I was like, oh, shit. Yeah, that's incredible, dude. Like, I'm convinced that if that cat wanted to, he can do whatever he wants to do. There are some people that could just do whatever they want to do, man. Like, if they say I'm going to score 70 and I'm going to put my efforts towards scoring 70, like, we might not win, but I will score 70. No one can do anything with him.
No. He's absolutely incredible. And my editor is right. We have run out of ways to say that, and we have to start inventing new adjectives or something.
Ant looked really good too. Like
he did.
Yeah, he looked really good too. And I would put him in that conversation with Amen Thompson. Not the same size, but when you talk about athlete for athlete, like that's pretty wild.
Yeah. All right, we need to get you out of here. Went a little longer than I planned to. And quick note: all three of us will be back together next Tuesday to close out the calendar year of the Real Ones. We'll be back next Friday as well. Before we go today, time for the Real One of the week. Raja, who you got?
I guess I'll go. It's college football playoff season. I'm going to go with the hometown squad, man. I grew up a Hurricane fan. My allegiances have shifted a little bit since my son's not going there, but I'm going to give Real One of the week to Mario Cristobal for eking into the playoffs this year. But as a Canes fan, I was really excited for them, and then figuring out a way to get a win at Kyle Field, first round Texas A&M, and then they got this rematch of a game that haunts me to this day. It was Miami. I think it was 2003. It was Miami, Ohio State. I was with the Mavs. It was a national championship game. I paced for an hour around a pool table while my wife sat on the couch wondering what I was doing, anticipating Miami winning this national championship, and it got ripped away from us on a phantom fucking flag. And so there's a rematch of that game now set up. I think it's out in Jerry's World in Dallas Stadium. So like shout out to Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes Real Ones of the week for getting on the round 2 of the CFP college football playoffs. Yeah.
I love that you can still be this mad about it and all these years. It doesn't leave you. Like it's as if it happened yesterday.
Like if I met that dude and somebody told me who he was, he might have to fight me.
Phenomenal. I'm going a little offbeat with my Real One of the week, Raja, because it struck me yesterday in watching the 13 hours of basketball, along with all of the commercials filling all the space in between. Shout out to whoever and I hate to do the free ad for what's probably a non-sponsor, but whoever at Corona decides to keep trotting out that Oh Christmas Tree commercial. No words, no characters, no jingles, no dumb little skits, no anything else. Just the whistling of Oh Christmas Tree. It's originally called Oh Tannenbaum, I guess. It's Oh Christmas Tree here. And a palm tree, some Christmas lights on it, a little cabin by the beach or whatever. Like it's just kind of cool and pleasant and puts you in a mood. And like, it's cool. I'm like, thank you for this nice, simple commercial that doesn't annoy the crap out of us if it's going to be on this many times this time of year. And I'm like, I feel like I've been seeing this my entire life. I finally looked it up. Do you know when this commercial first aired, Raja?
No.
1990. Oh. That Corona commercial's older than Logan Murdoch.
What? We're 35 years into it. What?
So my Real One of the week is whoever at Corona, the CEO, head of marketing, whoever has decided we don't need to invest any more money in any dumb/clever commercials. We'll just go with the tried and true. I love it. Keep bringing it out. I hope it's there every day till the end of time.
Yeah, and if you want, like, listen, I love Corona. I had. I'm not going to tell you how many I had yesterday, but Coronas for drinks. So, like, if you guys want a sponsorship spot,
there we go. Corona, hit us up. We could use you on the Real Ones. All right, Roger, that was fun. We will see you again Tuesday. Logan will be back. That is it for this post-Christmas wrap-up. Hope you all have a great holiday weekend. Thank you for spending a few minutes of it with us, and we will see you all again next week.
Must be 21 years and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.